Today I'm going to show you how to make super emotional chord progressions out of normal boring chords. Now chords are so important in a song to convey the emotion, get people's hearts melting. That's why I've got the camera so close so you can literally see the emotion coming out of my face. Now before we jump in, I just want to give a shout out to one of my masterclass students, Zoya, whose brand new track Colours of Light has just come out, so I recommend you check it out below this video afterwards. And if you're brand new to music production, you can download my free EDM Producer Starter Pack below this video. Okay, without further ado, let's jump into the door and make some super emotional chord progressions out of normal boring chords. Now we're going to write the chord progression in A minor because it's the simplest key to write in. It's the most common key for dance music in particular. And it just means that you're only using the white note, so it's really hard to go wrong, and it's easy to kind of work out where you are. So if you are using A minor, the root note of that key is A. And the easiest note to start writing a chord progression from is the root note of the track. It doesn't have to be. It could be the fifth, it could be the third, but it's easier, so we'll just start with this.
Take me higher.
And then we are going to write the bass notes first, and that just makes it so much easier. So we're going to turn off the vocals for the time being, and we're just going to write a bass note for each of the chords. And we're just using the notes within A minor natural. So if we press scale here in Ableton, you can see it's only going to actually allow us to use those ones. So that's a super easy way of doing it. So that's our chord progression, and we're just going to repeat it. And now we're going to build up the chords from those bass notes, and the easiest way to do that is to just skip a note within that scale, and then you've got the third and the fifth above. So that's the first, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth. So you can see you're just making like a chord sandwich. There's a new term for you, a chord sandwich. And we're just going to do that for each of those chords. And now this is our basic chord progression made of standard triads. So it sounds nice, but now we want to spice this up and make it really super emotional. And the way we're going to do that is by going out of the basics and creating something that sounds much more interesting. Now what I recommend doing is copying each of those bass notes, just this one, this one, this one, and this one, to another track, and then making a bass sound, and that's going to underpin the chords. So I'm doing it with the pluck at the moment. You can see the pluck's just playing those bass notes, and now when we spice these main chords up, we're still going to be underpinned, and it's not going to be confusing for the ear. So the thing I like to do, in fact I'm going to press the unscale button so we can actually see the notes we're missing as well. Now if you use the dominant fifth, which is this, and it's called the dominant fifth because it's the fifth note within the scale, so that's the first note, the second note, the third note, the fourth note, the fifth note, you should be able to play that over every chord, and it's going to make it sound much more emotional. It's going to lock it in. It's going to provide consistency across the progression, and you'll notice it's going to sound more interesting already. Heart melter. Okay, now for the next trick on how to make your chords more emotional. You can add the seventh note to each chord. Now that's actually already been done on this second chord here, and the seventh note is simply the note that's the seventh interval above the root of the chord. So the lowest note is the root note. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we'll add that seventh. And here we've already done it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And here we can do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sometimes it sounds weird and you don't want to do it, so you can just hear that really quickly. And if it sounds weird, just get rid of it, or just put it up another note, and then you'll be 1 octave above the root note. See, I don't like that, so we'll just put it up to the root note. And then the seventh note on this one. So the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. So here we've got the seventh notes now. Oh, that last one though. Hold it together, Will. Okay, now we are going to make this sound even more interesting. We're going to turn off the pluck and we're going to change the order of these notes. And this is where it sounds like you're some master of chords. Now, all you can do for that is just put some of them up an octave and put some of them down an octave. And the idea is you want to clump them closer together. See, at the moment, they're spread out quite far across the piano roll. So if we grab these two and then press up and shift, you can see they're all grouped within a smaller range. And we could take this one down, we could take this one down, and that's the octave already. And now you're going to think that that sounds a bit weird. Oh, or does it actually just sound super lush? So let's just chuck these an octave up, and it's going to sound a bit strange, like it's almost in a different key. Almost a whole other chord progression, but when we pin it in with the bass notes that we remember from earlier, you've suddenly taken a really simple chord progression and made it super emotional, and so it hits the heart. Now, the next thing I'm going to show you to do is I'm going to take all of these back down to where they were before I did it's called chord inversions when you change the order of the notes. So we'll get to where we added the sevenths in. There we go. And now what we're going to do is add some sus4 and sus2 chords. Now, the way you could do that is, remember, the root note's the first, then we got the second, then we got the third. Now, if you move that third up to the fourth position, it's called a sus4. And if you move it down to the second position, it's called a sus2. And that can make it sound really nice, really epic, especially if you repeat the chord sequence and use it the second time through. So let's just grab all of those and repeat them. And in the last chord, we're going to change this third note up to the fourth. And that's going to be the sus4. And now it's going to sound like this. So this is where it was. And let's move it up to the fourth, sus4. And halfway through that chord, you can actually move it back to the third. And it's going to give it like an epic resolution. Epic resolution. Oh, what was coming then? Let's see, shall we? Well, no, let's finish the chords first. And if we were to use the sus2, let's try it on the first chord. So we're moving that note that's on the third position down to the second position. So that's instead of... And again, we're going to halfway through that chord change it back up to that initial position. You can do that on other chords as well. Super emotional. And just experiment with adding notes at the end for flourishes. Remember, staying within the key. So we might even sustain this note. So we're playing that G as well. That's so nice. Now if we put this into our build, let's see what happens. And we're going to put the vocal on as well, because your chords will really be brought to life by the melodies and the counter melodies, the harmonies playing over the top.
Take me higher off the ground.
So lush.
On fire, but I need you now. Take me higher off the ground.
And of course you can contrast the lush emotional chords with some filth. So you got that contrast between the lush chords and whatever other filth you want to make. but that was getting carried away. It's all about the chords. So there you have it, guys. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget to check out my, I think, 5 essential chord progressions. Yeah, check that one out. It's like there or there. And if you enjoyed this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel for tips like this each and every week, and you can download my free music producer starter pack. It's got samples, cheat sheets, all that good stuff. So until next time, thanks for watching, cheers, and happy producing.